The first subject is Dutch Mantell versus Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez on the booking of Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. Now, this is from Elimination Chamber, and you're already shaking your head. I can see in my line of sight there. Dave Meltzer compared the situation between Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns between Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns last autumn. Here's the quote: "These situations are very rare. It's sort of like what happened with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, but this was way bigger." Meltzer said, "You never get another chance to do this again. You can have him win later or something else, but this was the night." Now, this is Dave Meltzer saying that he would have had Sami Zayn win the title. Brian Alvarez has also said, and actually campaigned on Twitter and on the Wrestling Observer Radio for a reasonable explanation as to why Sami should not have defeated Roman Reigns, and claims he's not heard a compelling argument yet for Sami Zayn not to have won. But you have one.
Well, you've heard the saying, "Tell me you're a mark without telling me you're a mark." That's exactly what these two morons did. I'm reading it and I'm saying, well, probably 6 months of planning went into this. And you would probably think that somewhere along the line, the WWE creative would have said, "Hey, we should put Sami over and let him win the titles." And see, they're shooting for WrestleMania right now. They cannot change on a dime and turn and go the other way. You hear that truck out there?
No.
I run. You don't hear the truck?
No.
Well, I run a trucking company, so if you hear trucks, well, I don't really run a trucking company. I just look at them. I look at them every day. But it's like, why would you do this? I read down lower, it says, Sami proved that he can draw ratings by himself, as SmackDown ratings really stayed good. I don't know what they were. But did they tell the people that Roman Reigns wasn't going to be there? No. So they had no way of knowing Roman Reigns wasn't going to be there. They knew that something was going to happen with this angle, and that's why it stayed up, because it's a fantastic piece of storytelling, and they have done it masterfully, because it's a story you can follow. And if you're doing ratings with it, why would they all of a sudden put Sami over? It makes sense in a way. Yeah, the people would have left happy. They would have been, they would have been ecstatic, and they would have remembered it for years and years and years, I imagine. But in the scheme of things, the WWE is more than one guy. It takes two guys to do an angle. And Sami isn't drawing all this by himself. He's embroiled in a storyline that includes not only himself, but Roman, the two Usos, that's three. Sika, is that his name?
Solo Sikoa, is that it?
Solo, that's four. And Paul Heyman is five. So Sami is not doing it all by himself. Now, if you want to see how he does, just put him on with nothing. Oh, Sami Zayn's going to be here. Okay. Put him out there. Nothing happens. You got to have an opponent. And I don't know why these two guys, they made a point. They could have put Sami over, but at the expense of screwing up Roman Reigns. Now, listen, you've had an investment in Roman Reigns for how long they've been pushing him?
Oh, it's 2 years. He's had the belt, at least.
They've been pushing him for 3 years. So they have an investment in Roman Reigns for 3 years. They've got him to the point now where he made Sami Zayn. He made him. And Sami Zayn, trying to get into the bloodline, made Sami Zayn. So when you get guys like Roman and the Usos, they can make other stars that are very, very valuable. So if they're that valuable, why would you take the first guy that comes along, well, not the first guy, and all of a sudden destroy what you've made or tampered with what you've made for the past 3 years. It doesn't make sense, which goes to show you why Dave Meltzer and what's his name, Brian Alvarez, nothing against them, but they just sound like marks. But it was good for their show. It was good for the show, but I just disagree with them.
Now, I'm sure you know this, and I'm going to give you a sentence and you tell me how right or wrong I am, but the money is in the chase, not the win.
Oh, yes.
You can stretch this for another year, surely.
Yes, you can. And that's what I've complained about WWE for so long. Patience. They had no patience. And sometimes their patience actually wore thin on me, because everybody with half a brain that's watched wrestling knew that something was going to happen between the Bloodline and Sami. You just didn't know when, which is the reason that the viewership stayed up, because not only you knew they were going to do something, but it was entertaining. And Sami would get his heart broken and they would yell at him and he'd jump back. But he just wanted to be in the Bloodline so badly that he would do anything to get there, even turning against his old friend, his old nemesis, actually, Kevin Owens. And I remember calling the finish for this. I do another show. I called the finish that Roman would beat him, and then they would go after him and start beating the crap out of him, which is what they did. And then Kevin Owens would suddenly appear and he would kind of save Sami's butt. And now he came on Raw and said he didn't save him because he hated him, but which is another piece of the storytelling that they did. Mm-hmm. But so now we still have, and they talked about what a great house it drew, what a great rating it drew. Guess what? We still have that formula. We haven't destroyed the formula. I mean, we didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We still have that to build on. And they're talking like this. And I don't know if it's, guys that do podcasts like me and you, we look for things like this, but they actually sound, to people in the business, they sound like the smarts. And I can't believe that Dave Meltzer, and he is a good writer, a prolific writer. They're not always right. About 50% of the time, he's mostly wrong, but he has diarrhea of the keyboard, so he'll just write and write and write and write and write. But is he right? I don't know. He just makes stuff up like the rest of it, but he has a following, and he has to have something to put on his show, and that was what they came up with. But I don't agree with them at all. I've never agreed with Dave Meltzer anyway.
So with, let's say, Sami Zayn wins at the Elimination Chamber, and then he's got the belt, and then maybe the story's not over, obviously, but I mean, you could always continue it. But I mean, how would that even affect Cody Rhodes? Because you've already got two. Yeah, you've got two baby faces.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you pay money to see Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn?
No, and why would you split the audience with two baby faces anyway? So you've got to boo one of them.
No, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
You could just have a quiet crowd. And I've seen them sit out there, and literally when two top stars were in the ring, they didn't want to boo one of them, and they didn't want to cheer one of them, so they just sit there and watch the match, almost like being in Japan watching a match. They just sit there. Maybe you throw a punch and they'll go, wow. Then it's quiet again. It's odd. It's weird. But see, the story is not with Sami and Cody. Cody has nothing to do with the Sami Zayn and the Roman Reigns story. It has nothing to do with it. He's not even involved in it, other than he's going to face the champion at WrestleMania. So if Sami was the champion at WrestleMania, I think a lot of people would be asking to cash their tickets in.